Welcome back to Comicbook Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I'm your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today is my co-host, Matthew Aguilar and Janelle Wheeler, and my brain is mush. I am fresh home from Comic-Con, and I haven't slept. My health is questionable, but we are here to talk about Comic-Con and everything we learned. As the only show that does it all for geek culture, we're the most equipped to kind of go around the whole gamut from everything. We're going to talk Marvel, we're going to talk DC, we're going to talk comics, we're going to talk a bunch of the stuff that shook out in between that, interviews we had, things we learned, and kind of get this all done in a nice, tidy, less than an hour package because we all got kids and things to do. And this is late night. In fact, this is Comic Book Nation After Dark.
Oh, here we go.
Where it gets a little bit more sensual, a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more geeky. All right, so guys,
it's a no.
We are back. So I was at a Comic-Con 2024, and I was talking with Peter. I think people think I'll be like, oh my God, Comic-Con, I'm so hyped. And blah, blah, blah. It might not surprise you to learn I'm less positive about this whole thing this year. Personally, professionally,
can't wait to hear this.
Some of it will stay in the files of behind the scenes. Some of it we'll talk about in front of the scenes. It was kind of a weird year, but let's get to the subjects at hand and the weirdness we can all share in. Robert Downey Jr. is back and the MCU. We're going to start right at the top with the biggest thing that happened. We had RDJ back. He's revealed to be playing Dr. Doom in the next Avengers movies, Avengers Secret Wars and Avengers, which is now called Doomsday instead of Kang Dynasty. So take that, Jonathan Majors. Take that, DC Studios. They got to Doomsday first. How do you guys feel about this? I'm super curious. We have not gotten to talk since our Friday show. It's been hella busy. I feel like I've lived an entire week since then. But how are you guys feeling about Robert Downey Jr. being back as Dr. Doom? Oh my God. This is going to be a mess.
It's already happening.
Yes. Matt, you take it first. I'm so curious.
Oh man. So I got to say, I think I tweeted, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw one of my reactions was kind of like, that was a fantastic reveal, and it was straight out of a wrestling, like it was straight out of Raw or SmackDown, like the whole like pulling off the mask, like everything about the reveal itself I thought was handled beautifully. I have lots of questions like others do about, can we execute this, which version of all that stuff, right? All of that's to come. So I have questions, obviously, but I think we've been talking a lot about on this show about like where the MCU is and like the status of it. Is this the big upswing of it and all that? And I think from a momentum and even, suffice to say a PR standpoint, all of that, I think this was brilliant. Like this was a genius level move. Whether it works or not, ultimately, I feel like you can't say that until at least Doomsday hits and again, Secret Wars. Like that is such a complete 1-2 package there. We won't be able to surmise whether this works or not, but on just the face of it and bringing someone who is looked at as the kind of godfather of the MCU back in this way and bringing your key villain. Thank you for the Lord for dumping Kang. I was never behind that in the first place. We're finally here where it should have been 2 years ago. But I'm excited for it. It is interesting. I'm very curious to see how it's executed, but on its own as the reveal, hell of a moment. Can't fault them that.
Yeah, there's a lot that I feel like Hall H. Marvel had in perfect lockstep with a WWE WrestleMania match this year. Yeah. So, Janelle, what did you think?
Well, my first thing I want to say is like, are we deep diving this stuff? Or are we going to get into this on our Friday show?
We are deep diving in now. Who knows what's going to happen by Friday?
Well,
My God.
like for me, like as a casual, well, I don't know if I can call myself a casual comic book fan anymore because I read so many comics now,
Nah,
but
you're not a
I do
casual
not
anymore.
know any Doom and Iron Man storylines. This was one of those instances where I had to get online and start Googling. I went to IGN and they did not give me
You
any.
went where?
No, another site. I went to a different site.
You went where?
And it was
listen to what she said. They gave her nothing. That's right.
nothing. They gave me nothing. And I was like, I'm looking for like issue numbers, full descriptions, like where, like, are there any links to this? And this is why, like, I love being on this podcast with you guys, because I can just throw it back to you and go, okay, hey, like, what comic are they going to use as reference for this? Like, what is the storyline going to be like? So far, like the closest one I saw was that they share a brain or they switch brains or something.
Yes, it's a what if episode.
Yeah.
It's a what if, one single issue of what if.
Okay.
Called Demon in the Armor instead of Demon in the Bottle.
I love these guys.
Yeah, I mean that's the thinnest connection you could possibly have.
But I don't feel like they would spend this kind of money on RDJ and not show his face, and he's just literally in a mask the whole time because Doom doesn't remove his mask, right? Because he's like upset that his face is disfigured and stuff. So like why in the world would they waste that kind of money without putting Iron Man back in the mix, you know, or like showing his face for some reason? So that's my thought process. But beyond like hypothesis of what's going to happen, I'm pumped about this. I thought it was really moving and exciting. If anything, it was just a Comic-Con moment for the books that we'll remember forever. Now, I don't know how this is going to go in the films. I don't know what to expect, but I trust our directors, which I know we're going to move on to our next piece of news and all of that. But I trust them.
Ahead, make it. You've hosted this thing?
Well, yeah, it's been confirmed that the Russo brothers are back for sure. I mean, we talked about this on the podcast. And that like it was rumored and we were hearing a buzz about it. So now knowing that they are back and that this is kind of a dream team between them and RDJ, I'm unafraid. I have a feeling that this could be something really awesome for us. So I'm coming at it with a really happy heart for now.
All right. Not me. I told Peter before, I think people are thinking I'm going to be so positive. I am not positive about any of this. I think there's a lot I've been reflecting on since this Comic-Con. I reflect on where I started in this biz and, you know, where I am and like just what I've seen. And the MCU has a lot to do with it. And I think Marvel's cooked. I'm going to put it out there right now. I think Marvel's cooked. I think we are beginning to see the end of the MCU era of dominance. I wrote a piece that's not so subtly titled Avengers, the major problem with RMDJ's MCU return is Doom, which looking at the analytics right now, a lot of you are beginning to pick up on and read. And I think I captured a sentiment for some of you that don't agree with this. Here's my breakdown, okay? Here's the 3 points that I make in this article that I'm going to make right here. I'm going to do it very quick. Comics are a niche media form, and there's a reason for that. Because they are willing to tell stories so kind of fantastical, outlandish, and at times just downright ass silly that they don't appeal to a wider range of people. That's why comics are comics, and that's why comic fans are comic fans, because we can dig that. We love that fantastical. Cable's origin and piecing that together on a whiteboard is like a great Sunday afternoon for me. Like, I love that kind of stuff. But I get why some people hear that and they're like, I'm out. Like, yeah, you're like, I'm just out of this. Now we are pushing comic book movies. We've already strained so much with this multiverse stuff. I'm not even that positive. I told you I was kind of have some reservations, and as time is going on and Comic-Con fervor is dying down, I have more and more reservations about Deadpool and Wolverine, just like I did about Spider-Man No Way Home. And it's like, where is the well of new ideas? Like, where are we going with this? We're now just going literally back to greatest hits. It's like, hey, remember that feeling you had? Well, we think we have a batch of that old heroin in the back. Let's go pull some of it out and shoot up again, guys. Like we're going to get the same people to do this thing. But like, I also think that, as many of you fear, like as Janelle just alluded to, are we getting a Doom character with another actor, which is going to be so confusing to people? Or are we getting another Tony Stark variant? Like, is this Demon in the Armor, and then this is a Tony Stark who went bad? Otherwise, yeah, why are you paying money to put this guy in a mask the whole time? And I don't see RDJ ever taking this so seriously as to play Doom with that Shakespearean gravitas. It's going to be a winking kind of Doom, who stops and pivots and does weird idiosyncratic things. Like, that's not Doom. So we're getting this kind of variation on Doom. Okay, so that's fine, because then you could eventually say, oh, in Secret Wars, when we soft reboot, there will be an actual Doom. But again, we're pushing into now asking people to do soap opera level of things. Recasting the same actor and explaining us and having audience buy this. Maybe introducing a new traditional Doom, trad Doom, if you will, and being like, now this is a thing. I don't think you can keep appealing to widespread audiences doing this stuff. I think the multiverse saga has proven there's a point where typical audiences are just beginning to check out and be like, yeah, this is all too much for me. Like, it's getting too weird. Whether it's the Flash or Multiverse of Madness, or just even trying to explain and have the impact of every reference in Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, we're getting to a point that, like, I don't think these are going to be entertaining movies. And it kind of leads into the next part of our kind of analysis of these panels. I'm going to skip around just a little bit, I think. Let's see. Did I do this logically? I'm going to skip around. I'm going to skip around to just hop one and say, talking about Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Two things people saw footage from that they were generally pretty positive about, especially Thunderbolts, which kind of walked away with being kind of the darling of that Hall H panel in terms of movies. People were actually like, I'm digging this movie, and more than I ever thought I would be now. And they're going back to the grounded and gritty era. Both of those movies are going back to the grounded and gritty era, because that's where they think they can get back, your typical audience, your more widespread demographic of audience, that action espionage kind of deal, or that ensemble comedy kind of deal that we liked and never fully got in, like, some of the Suicide Squads. So yeah, I just think this was a weird one. I don't even think I felt the joy as somebody. I was there in 2010 when the Avengers first took the stage in Hall H. I don't feel that same way about this. It was just like seeing your old friend pop up at a party and being like, I can't believe you're here. You know what I mean? Like, afterwards, you're like, why are you here? Like, why are you back at this college party? What are you doing, bro? And it's just like, yeah, it's kind of weird. So I don't know, man. Wow, that's a
lot.
Well, I have a lot of feelings about this, but
that's a lot. No, but I get it. I mean, I understand. I'm not even disagreeing with a lot of your sentiments, because I think they're accurate. I just don't know. There's a lot of stuff in there I can't make a judgment about, though, until I see movies, I guess. Like, I'm still kind of
fair enough.
Hesitant.
Always fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I definitely get it.
Let me be clear, too. When I say Marvel is cooked, I don't mean Marvel is going to end as a franchise. That's not possible. What I mean is, I think the era where Marvel was the dominant thing in entertainment is going to end. And I think comic book movies are inevitably going to go back, are going to fall right in line with comic books. They will appeal to a niche audience that loves that genre, but not so much to everyone else. And they'll be kind of fitted into that, like every other movie genre eventually is. Every movie genre is the popular genre until that ends, and then they don't die. Horror is still horror. Westerns are still westerns. Like, right. All of that is still around. Biblical epics are still made, but like, it's not the dominant. It just becomes a niche. It becomes genre. And I think it's inevitable for comic book movies as well. And that's just my take. And I don't mind that, because I'll be happy to get a lower budget movie where we can get nerdy and get kind of crazy and things. And we're just appealing to the people who are going to really like that kind of stuff. I'm not against that. I think that's good for a lot of reasons. It's a good resetting for movies. I think it's a good resetting for comic book culture and geek culture. I think it's a really good resetting for Comic-Con itself. But what will place their superhero movie genre? I'm being asked by Morales 25. You know, that's the question I've been leaving Comic-Con asking, and I think, you know, not to give away my own opportunities, guys, but I think this is the opportunity for someone to crack the code and for some new creator to come through and push us into what is going to be the next genre. We don't know until somebody does it, right? So if you think you got that live action AI assisted anime kind of thing that we can get into, you know, because we have AI, we can create live action anime that is, you know, a mix of kind of humanoid motion capture and kind of AI motion painting and all that stuff. Maybe that's it. Maybe we do that next.
Hog tournament movie is going to be legit.
Oh my God. You are so unserious. Oh my God. I don't know, but I think it's coming up. It's going to be coming up. And yeah, I don't think this is a takeaway. Like, I'm still going to be there for all of these movies. I still like this genre. So I'm still there for the DC studio stuff. I'm still excited for it. I love me some Creature Commandos. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I think Marvel did a good little WWE promo this time. They did.
It was a good
Fantastic
pop, man.
Four. They sold nothing with Fantastic Four. It was 3-card money. They had the confused cast out on stage and full, you know, with their fresh out of the tan beds because they're getting ready to shoot this next week. They flew a Fantastic car in to get us all wowed and showed us,
which does look sick.
Yeah, and yes, it does.
A sick car.
And showed us like a split second of Galactus, which also looks sick. And the whole kind of, I mean, guys, let's be honest, the footage is out there. You just got to find it before they get it. You got to find it before they get it. But it's all out there on Twitter, Reddit, all your favorites. Go find this stuff. But yeah, the concepts they showed, Pedro Pascal playing Reed, Sue Storm, like all their characters and stuff, and their 1960s kind of Jetsons retro stuff. I'm with it. But it was a 3-card money match. They were like, hey, here's a little something we cut together because we have nothing. Here's the cast. Here's a Fantastic car. Look, Galactus's eyes. Oh, they're gone. But yeah, I'm down with it. I think Fantastic Four, weirdly, because it's so separated, could end up being like one of those movies that really gets me into this again, because it'll be original. It's a director who's highly skilled, but also highly passionate to have his big break. You got a fantastic cast, and it looks like they have an actual standalone concept, tone, and world they're building here. Like an actual movie.
That's where the multiversal concept thing actually benefits them when they use it. Like, because that's what I dug about this was like, oh, it's from another world. They have their own.
Oh my God.
They feel fresh. Yeah, that feels fresh, you know, like, okay, cool. And then that is the one. Look, everyone knows I'm not a big Fantastic Four person. Okay. So I'm looking to Pedro and all these people to make me a fan. I've never cared for the most part. I hate Reed Richards because he's a terrible father. He's a terrible person. So I need this movie to bring me on board. I want to be a Fantastic Four fan, right? So for me, like having that kind of concept, a sci-fi retro feel, which we'll even get into the retro vibes this, you know, when we get into, you know, some Batman stuff later. But like that was cool. I dug that. Like, I need you to have a vision for this. And then when you smush it together with everything else that's going on in Marvel, that could be fun. That makes me excited. And then especially when you if you can nail the landing, you then bring in from previous rumors and reports, right? A multiversal take on Tony Stark, but what if Tony Stark was Iron Man and not Iron Man, right? What if he became Doctor Doom instead? Like, if you do that and you nail that landing, that is interesting. That could be good. We'll see.
Dude, I think you just cracked the code. Like, it'd have been so interesting instead of waiting for like Secret Wars to get X-Men and all that. We just had we did one of those Marvel Comics crossovers where they just launch new alternate titles, and we just had the multiverse saga. Like, something happened at the beginning, and then we just started getting weird movies like a new X-Men, like a Doctor Doom movie about if Tony Stark, and all these isolated movies that then just came together in Secret Wars. That would have been so much better. We
And then
just
you cherry
fixed you,
pick.
Marvel. Yeah.
Right?
We
Then you
just
cherry
fixed
pick
you,
your
Marvel.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, man. We just fixed the whole
that
Marvel
would
universe.
that would have also alleviated the whole like having to retcon stuff in. You know, like the Animanium thing is great on first appearance, and then you're like, man, but wouldn't it have been awesome if that was already just a thing in another world, and then that just you get all that smushed in, and then this metal just happens to be here, you know? So like it would have removed some of the hurdles that I think this, but some of that also doesn't have anything to do with wants and needs. Some of that is because they couldn't use stuff for a long time, right? They got to get stuff moving. I get it. Like I'm not being a complete nerd about it.
Do not second guess your own idea. It would have been a great kind of twisted Avengers origin story where we met everybody who ended up in Secret Wars, but we knew what universes they came from, their own personal backstories, and like why they were fighting to survive. And it would make everything so tragic when some of them didn't and their universes got eliminated. Like that's high stakes Hunger Games, you know what I mean? But all right, we fixed it too late. We were not on our bag. All right. All right. So Captain America Brave New World also has some footage. I want to move through this a little bit faster because, you know, we're trying to keep this quick. And Thunderbolts both seem to go over well with fans in terms of the espionage action. Brave New World seems to be doing a lot of misdirect. First of all, Giancarlo Esposito playing Sidewinder in the Serpent Society. Nobody got that. GW Bridge, RIP. But yeah, that was interesting and what that suggests. But there's a lot in this movie, and I'm worried about it only because it should be about, you know, I want Marvel to get serious with, like, especially at this time, introducing, like, what happens when you have a black Captain America and you change that symbol over. Like, Falcon and Winter Soldier got unexpectedly serious about it, but, like, this feels like it's more one of, I fear that this is an Iron Man 2, like, where we're doing so much other universe setup. Because you gotta have, I know where I think they're going with this, where the leader is the master manipulator, and he's moving all these pieces to kind of change the power dynamics of the world. And he's going to start, you know, using people like Serpent Society maybe to start creating new baddies, like transforming a, you know, vitriol president into a Red Hulk, a guy who's anti-superheroes, you know, and causing this kind of level of chaos. Then there's the adamantium, you know, getting thrown in the mix with the Celestials, trying to clean up all that mess. You know, I'm like, I hope this is not Iron Man 2 kind of stuff where we're just trying to do too much to actually get a Sam Wilson story. Because if we don't get a Sam Wilson Captain America story, people are going to be pissed. Action looks good, though. Action
looks good. And, you know, there is always a worry about that when you put a lot of other things in. But, you know, but then maybe that's me as someone who didn't love Captain America, Falcon Winter Soldier. I did not like that show.
Same.
And the best parts of it were actually the Sam Wilson dealing with him becoming Cap. So when
him and Isaiah Bradley was bad,
So I do want that to be front and center here. And I agree with you. Like, if you come out of this movie and all you come away with is like, oh man, Red Hulk was cool or whatever, then I feel like they will not have done it justly. They will not have done it justice. And so I hope that's not the case, because I agree.
I feel like we're getting 50 we're going to get 50 states worth of new MCU plot points. All right. So overall, did you guys come out of this feeling Marvel is so back or something else? Or are you confused? It's okay to be confused.
Well, I saw you put this in the show notes, and my immediate knee-jerk reaction was not because of Comic-Con do I think that Marvel is so back. It's because I watched Deadpool yesterday.
You watched it?
I did. I went to go see Deadpool yesterday.
Oh, let's go!
Yes. So
let's just move on to that.
I was like, newborn to my husband, I'm going to a matinee and I'm gonna go see this freaking movie because I need this in my life. So yes,
I was gonna say, did you get a high ABV beer? But I remember you're on your motherhood track, probably.
Oh no, I'm drinking for sure.
I love it. All right, so cheers. That's awesome. Inspiration from mothers everywhere. Yeah, I love that. All right,
I miss Whataburger.
So Janelle, real quick, break it down. What did you think of Deadpool Wolverine? We didn't get to hear your thoughts.
I'm obsessed with this. Like this. Okay. Some of you may know this, some of you don't. I am very good friends with Chris Young, who is a famous country singer here in Nashville. And he is like such a geek. And he turned to me in the middle because we went to this movie together with me and his girlfriend and all this. And he looks at me and he goes, if anyone says that this isn't a good movie, they're idiots. And I was like, I agree, because this is exactly what we needed, in my opinion. I feel like this is what we needed. I did come home, and the first thing when I looked at trending, like, because I didn't look at any spoilers, I knew nothing about appearance, cameos, nothing. Thank you. Yes, I held it together. I saw this like video of this Christian husband and wife saying they left 25 minutes into it because it was outrageous and like totally absurd.
I saw that,
horrific, and I just laughed because that is what this is. You laugh. He references his IRL wife, like he talks about Blake Lively. Like
there's so many real life jokes in this that they like are throwing at each other. I don't want to say anything, but there's one about Hugh Jackman and his current status in life, and I was like, I audibly in this theater was like, oh. I was
just laughing out loud the whole time, like laughing so loud, just loving this so much. I wish that every superhero movie could be this now, because I had such a good time, and it feels so good to watch something with amazing action and amazing cameos and just fanfare, and it's like it's good, and it's not so serious. Like everything I've watched recently is like this, everything is ending, it's the end of the world, like, and which is beautiful, and I'm huge into Loki, and I love Strange, but this just makes you feel good. I would go watch this 20 times in the theater. If anybody wants to go, I'll go again with you.
Yeah,
I just had fun.
Agreed. No, totally agree. It's also a sign that we are definitely cooked. Definitely a sign that we are cooked. Oh, I'm not kidding. I was like, oh, like I loved it, but I also recognize it as we're not making movies anymore. This is a love letter to people. If you've seen a million of these other movies, like
that's true. But you know what? Like, I love that.
No, I mean, I love the Fox. I've stuck up for the Fox universe, but I also was in a hotel room watching a lot of Fox movies this weekend.
Fox. They
don't hold up. X2 does not hold up. Like it's weird, man. But Deadpool Wolverine's good.
They're not like us.
It's so fun and good, and I just don't understand the criticism. Like someone asked me in my chat. Someone asked me in my chat, like, what do you rate it out of 1 to 10? 10 being the best. I said 10. To me, it's the perfect movie. I love
7.
this, and I don't know where I'm going to put it in my list of films in the MCU, because I love it that much. I'm like, oh man, this is going to get hairy. This is going to kick out it's going to piss people off where I want to put this. It's like up at the top. So
no, it's all good. No, go off. Some people are going to always be like that. It's a solid 7 for me. A solid 7.
Okay.
Very entertaining.
So going off of the comments, we really need to do that. Number one, we need to do the Fox ranking. And we need to go back and do the X-Men.
I don't want any part of that. I'm not mutant enough for the Fox rating.
We have to get you in there. And then 2, I will say X2 will always hold a special place. Number 1, because crazily enough, I think it's one of the best of those Fox movies that I have such a huge issue with. But Iceman is in it, and he gets a moment, and I love Iceman. I will always...
No, guys, I just watched it. I watched every X-Men movie and Wolverine movie on FX in the times that I wasn't at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
because that's what I put on in the hotel. None of them hold up very well. Logan is the Wolverine and Logan are the 2 that hold up the best by far.
Oh,
by far. First Class, or no, I'm sorry. Logan, Days of Future Past.
Okay.
And then the Wolverine and First Class tied for 3 are the top 3 that hold up, like by far.
That's a good.
First Class. Logan is in a class of its own. It's so good. I can rewatch that movie a million times. I didn't realize that until I saw it like replayed so much because of this movie coming out. But
I need to see that end again.
That end with Daphne Cain doing the line from Shane. A man needs a code. Like I'm just like, oh man, that's great. But all right, R.I.P. Blade. We got a Blade. We lost a Blade. If you know, you know.
So sad.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, I didn't think it was that clear, and I had to ask. I was like, wait, did that mean
we got a Blade? We lost a Blade. That's all I'm gonna say. And this is how I know Marvel Studios was on some bullshit this year, because they did that whole presentation and they never addressed. This is the first time Kevin Feige said something. You know, he usually addresses those things. They did that whole magic song and dance and nobody mentioned Blade. He said on 2025, we're going to have 3 movies. And he said that and then he bounced. Like we didn't know how to do math. Like we didn't know there was supposed to be a Blade movie there. So, R.I.P. Blade. Matt, like, let's keep going into the next section. I know you got a lot of excitement out of this corner of Comic-Con.
You know what's funny? So going back to your earlier point, though, I think this Comic-Con show for me, because like you took a lot of stuff away from on the MCU side. For me, I think I took away more that I just get really excited for the DC side of things from this Comic-Con, both on the movie front and the comics front. Like I am just like jazzed on a lot of stuff coming out. So like that was a lot of where like my enthusiasm hit. But yeah, we got the DC Studios. It's official. We can stop calling it 9 other things. It's DC Studios, and we got the Bullet logo back, which I'm very. That's a special place in the heart there. So that's I'm glad for that. And then we got our first look at Creature Commandos. Man, how's everyone feeling?
Oh man, yeah, I think DC did a good time. I mean, James Gunn held back; he didn't want to show Superman, but I think DC did a pretty admirable job with their marketing this whole Comic-Con. They were weirdly my favorite out of all of this. And you know, let's just go over what they showed. Creature Commandos. I enjoyed this trailer much more than I thought I would. Like I've watched it several times, and it already feels like James Gunn just has personality and like charisma in whatever he creates. They're lively. And this already feels idiosyncratic and kind of weird. And just seeing the bride try to have a conversation with Dr. Phosphorus and stuff like that, it's just hilarious. And so I'm already in for this. Like, yeah, this was great for me. Janelle?
Yeah, I mean, this just looks like so much fun. You guys know I'm not big on animation, and I do feel like the DC announcements were more like animation stuff and like the comics and stuff. But I do love the logo.
Classic.
And yeah, I really like it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Cap shield. I don't know why. And then this specifically, I think this is more up my alley than the next one that we're about to hit, talking the Batman animation.
Oh, okay. No, Creature Commandos I'm in for. Let's flip it over. This is jumping a little bit of the line. Sorry to producer Pete. Let's talk Batman Cape Crusader. We just had a review go up hours ago by our buddy Evan Valentine from our Anime Initiative segment. And he did the Batman Cape Crusader. I got to watch the series in preparation for interviewing the cast. I got to interview the cast at Comic-Con. And that was Hamish Linklater, Minnie Driver, and Jamie Chung. So that is Hamish is the new Batman. Minnie Driver is this female Penguin. And Jamie Chung is the new Harley Quinn. And they were all lovely people. They were all lovely interviews. So shout out to them. But look, guys, I'll say this. I can now say this. It's Cape Crusader is there, man. It's there. It's legit. It is legit. It took me 2 episodes to get over the animated series. I kept wanting to hear Kevin Conroy. I kept getting all like nuts about it. But no, these Bruce Timm and even J.J. Abrams and the people making this, they are on it, man. This is a successor to the animated series. It's legit. Each episode is a whole ass story. You get a legit Batman story in every episode, just like the animated series. And they're interesting stories. And Bruce Timm is not afraid to add. He's bringing back the aesthetic of the animated series, but with a modern sensibility. And the changes they make to these characters are pretty good. They're pretty good. Like, people found at a Comic-Con, and it was the ugliest scene that Minnie Driver is playing a female Penguin. Well, that's the first episode. That's not a spoiler to tell you that's the first episode. And this version of Penguin is nuts. Like,
so good.
so good,
gosh.
like nuts. Like I was like, oh my god. And it's very more on the adult side, and like there's not nudity or anything, but it's scary at times. They're not afraid to get edgy or scary or violent. Like there's like Batman uses the Batmobile to hit a significant amount of people in this show, to just run over people like several times. Like it happens numerous times in the show. And the Harley Quinzel character, the way they flip that story, I don't want to give anything away. So interesting. There are so many interesting scenes of Harley Quinzel before you ever get to Harley Quinn. And so like this takes its time, it builds its world. Everybody's a little bit different, from Commissioner Gordon to Barbara to Renee Montoya to Bullock to like all these people.
Clayface.
That episode with Clayface is great. Like everybody's flipped a little bit, but hella interesting, and their take on Batman lore is hella interesting. And at the core, everybody's still very familiar. Like very familiar. Like I said, female Penguin is very much Penguin, and even more kind of scary because there's elements they play with her as a female that you're just like, oh my god, like that's even worse.
Yeah.
And they bring in stuff from the comics, right? Like we've been talking about, if you've been listening to the Pool List, right? You know, we've been talking about Penguin for a long time, right? And how that has brought like this kind of edge and a little bit of that brutality and that violence to the character, and it's done so well. She does something in that episode that's like ruthless. That is just I did not see coming, and I will not spoil that for anybody. But like she's, this has this fun whimsical vibe, and then can switch on a dime, and it's that is so fun when it comes to Penguin. So I
don't think people are ready. I think, but I know they'll turn around once it comes out. It's coming out this Thursday, and people are gonna start turning around on this. I guarantee it, because it is a worthy successor to the animated series. You can find out it's coming out Thursday on Amazon Prime Video. Batman Caped Crusader. We have a review and all kinds of other stuff ready to go. So check that out. I have interviews with the cast and all that going out. All right. My Adventures with Superman and Lois got some fun updates. We got to look at some cool stuff from My Adventures with Superman, and we got the final trailer for the final season of Superman and Lois. So all you Superman heads, that's for you. That's on Comicbook.com DC. As you can see, they're going to give us some exciting stuff in this final season. I don't watch either of these shows, so I'm not going to go too deep into this. And it's not because I don't like them. I don't like Superman that much. You guys can
Superman and Lois. Oh, it's so good. It's criminal that's getting kind of put out early. I feel like this show deserved more, and it's just kind of with that whole CW shift and everything, it's just not what they're doing now, and I get it, right? But like, if this had been on another network and this had been like from the beginning, Superman and Lois is legit so underrated. And I think once time goes forward and we start seeing other things and give it a couple years, our normal routine is to then go, oh man, it was the greatest show ever. This will get that treatment in 4 or 5 years. It's really good, and it doesn't get enough love. So
the Superman Doomsday fight. I mean, this is the best Superman Doomsday fight we're probably going to get on TV. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So this is pretty dope. All right, but okay. So that was the big DC and Marvel stuff. Let's get into a couple just miscellaneous things to pick from. Matt, I mean, I know we talked about it on Friday, but just if you guys didn't watch our Friday show about kind of day 1, day 2. That absolute DC stuff looks so exciting. DC is getting its own version of the Marvel Ultimate Universe with Absolute Universe, and they are reinventing Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in some truly cool ways. Go back and listen to our other podcasts from day 1, day 2, recapping Comic-Con for more details on that. I was at that panel. Yeah, DC Comics actually has some interesting things going down. I was at the Star Trek panel and saw what's coming up with the Star Trek universe, including Section 31.
Looks awesome.
Wow. Yeah, it's getting a lot of backlash because some people were like, "Hey, I watched this trailer. Where's the Star Trek?" Which is fair because but admittedly, it's about a secret section. Yeah, I think it is.
No, that's a lot of terrible. No, I don't know anything about Star Trek, and I need to, because I feel like this would be something I would be so into, like the entire Like everything about Star Trek seems very Janelle to me.
Yeah, this one's about, well, if you don't know, this is about a character in Star Trek Discovery was Michelle Yeoh, who was the mentor of the main character in Discovery, but they ended up multiverse in another universe where her mentor actually became a tyrant instead of a very benevolent mentor. And she turned Starfleet into Starfleet became the Terran Empire, the Empire of Earth, and they conquered the universe instead of bringing unity. And so they brought that version. That Empress got stuck back in the regular Star Trek timeline. And so they put her to work for their espionage section because she's a killer and a nut. So they were like, all right, well, you can join our kind of, basically our, who was I trying to think of? I can't think right now, but
that sounds awesome.
This
from the Kremlin, KGB. You can join our KGB,
really cool.
like Star Trek's KGB, basically. And so good cast. They were fun on stage, and it's going to be different. It's a movie. It's the first streaming movie, Star Trek streaming movie coming to Paramount Plus.
Surprised it was a movie though. I feel like a show.
Well, it was supposed to be a show. Then Michelle Yeoh won an Oscar and was like, "Yo,
like, peace.
We getting this done in a movie." Yeah,
she's like, "I know my worth."
Yep, exactly. We getting done in a movie, and I'm out.
Fair enough.
It looks so cool though.
Yeah, and she sent a video to Comic-Con. That's where Michelle Yeoh is. She was like, "Hey, I'm on video. Have fun." We're also getting Starfleet Academy, which is the first show set in the furthest future of Star Trek after Discovery when they jumped to the 32nd century. We found out a bunch of legacy characters from the series are coming back for that. Check that out. My favorite, though, was Lower Decks, which is getting its final season. And they got so much love because they got so much hate at the beginning. I was there at the beginning when that show was announced. A comedy show in Star Trek. They got
Isn't that how it always is?
Yeah,
I swear.
Yeah. So they got all the smoke. Now they got the whole Hall H was chanting Lower Decks multiple times for the whole cast. And they announced that Tawny Newsome and Justin Simien, the showrunner of Dear White People, are getting together to make Star Trek's first live action comedy show that's set in canon.
Which I've already seen a bunch of hate about, so cue us in 5 years, and everyone will love it. So just shut up. Just stop.
Oh, no. I think that's Jamie Lovett and that, what was that Seth MacFarlane show that they did? You know what I'm talking about? When Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy. Orville. Yeah, those are the Orville fans. They're mad as hell. And I get it. They had a live action comedy Star Trek show, but Star Trek's doing their own. Okay. And Tawny Newsome's funny. So I'm with it. Matt, did you like the Transformers 1 stuff we got out of this?
Yeah, no, the first reactions are sounding fantastic. It does bum me out a little bit that they're not like, completely committing to a trilogy and some other things. But everything I have seen, super keen. And I've talked to some people, right? Some people who've seen screenings and things, and I'm liking what I'm hearing. So it's good stuff. I'm feeling that. Also, I will say we had a great interview with Daniel Warren Johnson too over in the Transformers comics, and that was fantastic too. And he's a number one. He's a great interview anyway. I've had the pleasure of talking to him like once before, and he's awesome. But he's also just like very open about things, and like there's a whole thing in there about Bumblebee and being very like honest about reactions to things and how you take those. It's really good. So yeah, all good things across the board for Transformers fans.
Yeah. Star Wars has started to clean up its mess still. Now we're getting Acolyte prequel novels, because they got to explain away what they didn't explain in the show, the old classic. Star Wars is getting right up there with Zack Snyder for just making this a shtick, right? Like, we're going to give you half a story, and then you can go buy out the rest. So we're getting Jecki and Yord novels. Oh, no, Venestra Rowe is getting another novel. Didn't I tell you on the Acolyte Aftermath finale, Janelle? Didn't I tell you that they were going to give us some crazy Venestra Rowe novel about her and Kamir? And I told you that. Oh my God.
You said it. You called it.
Yeah. This novel will explore Venestra Rowe's life
being Kofi
about 20 years prior to the Acolyte. Yeah. Oh my God. Star Wars.
Are we going to get the Acolyte director's cut?
Oh, stop it. And then we're going to get a YA novel about Jecki and Yord and their young Jedi adventures.
Ooh,
that's all they got. before they got horribly murdered.
Yeah,
That's all they got. So,
those characters now have a ceiling.
Yeah,
they're gonna die.
yeah. So we're getting that. What else happened at Comic-Con? Did we talk about Alien Romulus on our last show?
God, I'm so sick of this trailer. Like, I just don't want to see it ever again. I've seen this so many freaking times, and I avoid it. But it was
I didn't put the trailer in here. Yeah.
I was here plugging my ears and humming, so that I didn't have to watch the chest cavity part.
Janelle, you know what's more disturbing than that trailer? Our interview with Fede Alvarez, where he reveals to Chris Killian that Alien Romulus might win an actual award for using the most lube on set for filming.
Very nice.
And that's not gross, guys. They use that to create the slime effects for the aliens. You know, all that time you see like slime and all that, and the face huggers. That's they use lubricant for that and jellies. And so he said they went through so much of that on set that it might actually be a record. Yeah, gross. Rings of Power.
It's going to be an awesome film. I really have no doubt, but it's so not in style.
Also, another exclusive we broke at Comic-Con was clearing up the King Spawn news, which broke right as Comic-Con went, that the next Spawn movie is called King Spawn. Todd McFarlane, we spoke to him. Chris Killian jumped in there and talked with Todd and found out it's called King Spawn, but it ain't about King Spawn. So if you know what that comic's about, yeah, they're doing something else, but it ain't King Spawn. No new Dune news. Morales 25. We didn't hear anything about Dune. We just have the trailer for Dune Prophecy, which we already talked about on this podcast. Go check that episode back a little bit. Rings of Power season 2 was out there hyping itself and looking real good and looking better this season. So we'll be checking in with that. I know Matt's hyped about a Justice League Unlimited series with Mark Waid and Dan Mora, and they're going to. It's going to be like the cartoon series because Mark Waid let everybody in the room shout out names of DC heroes. And he's like, yeah, we'll have them in there. Yeah, we'll have them in there. Yep, them too. Yep.
And that initial team, oh my God, kicks. Star Sapphire, number one, it's about damn time. But also, if you've been reading the Green Lantern book, like they've been doing so much over there with her. Like she's going to be a Captain Atom. Like
somebody made a Captain Atom joke. Because they were saying something about what's the biggest threat in that you see up there. Somebody said yelled out Captain Atom in a nice Kingdom
because he
Come
gets a rip in
callback.
his suit and
Nice Kingdom Come callback there. And they were like, but they did say Mark Waid was like, you might want to keep your eye on Captain Atom. So like, he did kind of give that little teaser. Captain Atom always shady. He's right up there with Major Force, man. They always shady. Too many government. They too governmenty.
Yeah,
that's just too governmenty.
But that's why it's a good mix, though. I will say, like that's a really strong initial team, and I love that we're rotating. And also, there's a debate whether, to me, like out of the Justice League animated series, Justice League Unlimited is my favorite because it's just the sheer variety in the lineups and stuff. Like there's so many stories in there with other characters that I think I prefer to watch those 2 seasons over just straight up Justice League. So I will defend that. That's another one. We need to do another animated ranking too at some point. we got
shout out, shout out to Liam Crowley who did our spinoff segment Riptide Radio for the Percy Jackson fans. Looks like Riptide Radio season 2 is going to be a hell of a run, Liam, because Percy Jackson season 2 is sounding pretty exciting in the cast. They were great. And did we hit everything? And I think I think we did it. Anybody have anything else? Matt, I got you that awesome wrestling vid. There was some of the good that. The Phase Zero somebody asked about, did Brandon Davis get scoops? Yeah, a bunch of our people, not me, got to go to some Marvel party. The Marvel end of our site got to go to a Marvel Studios party, which was really nice to do for them to do, but also like again made me raise my eyebrow. Marvel Studios has never had to choose to throw a party. I question why. And yeah, Phase Zero. Oh, I was saying I was hyping Phase Zero. They did a panel at Comic-Con. They had a big day Deadpool Wolverine weekend. So be sure to head over to that feed and check all of that out, because if you weren't at Comic-Con, I think they have it up right now that they have their kind of Comic-Con panel recap, where even Jim Viscardi made an appearance. And luckily for him, I was all the way home because I would have been like, hey, Jim, isn't this nice? Where's our goddamn room? But he's gone now, and he escaped. We will still be out here grinding it out on all these segments we do every week here on Comic Book Nation. Subscribe to your favorite podcast platforms. Today alone, Janelle and I, this is our second podcast. We did a House of the Dragon recap for the penultimate episode of House of the Dragon. So go check that out right after this. And every week, like I said, we have our bonus recap episodes, at least one or two of those for different specific properties. We have Anime Initiative every Tuesday live, where we go over the biggest things in anime every week. Wednesday, me and Matt unite for the pull list, where we talk about the biggest things in comic books, where this all started. Matt doubles down back on Thursday for Quick Save with the rest of the gaming team, where they get geeky on some of the biggest topics in gaming. And Friday, Matt, Janelle, and I reunite like Voltron for the live show, where we get all of our best fans to join us to talk about the Geek Week or the Week in Geek. And we get to interact with you guys a whole lot more, listen to your comments, talk back with you and do all that kind of fun stuff. So subscribe now on your favorite podcast platforms and subscribe to the Comic Book Nation YouTube page. Matt, Janelle, thank you for staying up with me for Comic Book Nation After Dark. We all got families. Yeah, we got families and lives, man. We got to get out of here.
But Kofi, thank you for representing us at Comic-Con.
Hey, man, I wore my shirt. I wore my shirt and got some comments, and had some fun. I was out there strutting in my Comic Book Nation shirt, representing for us.
Love that.
Representing for us. Does the new Batman know who we are now? I'm just saying.
That's amazing.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Peace.